This final chapter, the story about Naruto ends. Let's start.
The raven-haired man walked through the sidewalks of the busy streets surrounded by cars honking. The sun already setting behind the skyscrapers and giving the background yellowish with orange color. His sunglasses reflected the image in front of him as he was joined by a raven behind him that went into an alley. Emerging from said alley was a young teenage girl with red hair in two ponytails and hazel eyes wearing her high school uniform. She bore a smile and joined the Uchiha walking on the sidewalk. Why did you lie to the kid Shisui-senpai? The young teenage girl asked in a questioning tone. The man kept on walking ignoring the question. Senpai? She asked again. I need him alive, Itsuko, was all Shisui told her before continuing his walk. Why not just tell him the truth? Said the red-headed girl as she played with one of her ponytails. If I were to tell him the truth, chances were that he would not listen. Most ninja are like that, especially the Uzumakis. His mother was the same, bash and brute. I had to a chakra restrictor to make him think he is losing chakra, so he has to think before doing something idiotic. You saw what he did, jumping into a burning building without protection. Oh, she said, elongating the vowel. Is he like you then? Yes, he is. In fact, he is even stronger than I am. He answered, never turning to face the girl. Really? But he seems so weak and dumb. Looks who's talking, Itsuko, he chuckled. I am not weak, she retorted back to him. That just makes you dumb then, he teased before continuing answering her question. Inside him is the strongest tailed beast, Kyubi. In my world, nations would go to get its power. Luckily my village had it under its possession, primarily under Uzumaki control. Amazing. So he has a beast inside him, how? She looked with glossing eyes. We would seal them into people that were labeled as Jinchuriki. There were 9 in total and he just so happens to have the strongest one of all. They reached their destination, a corner store named Koto Amatsukami. From the outside it looked like a family-owned shop. They would sell all sorts of goods such as canned drinks, alcohol, and utilities items for personal use. Behind the register, however, there was a latch that led to an underground basement. They descended the metal steps and turned the lights on. The room was lit with green lights and was filled with test tubes from all sorts. Boxes filled with chemicals were at the wall and everything was labeled in braille. You are on closing duties today, Itsuko. Make sure not to fall asleep again. I don't want to lose more merchandise for your clumsiness. She groaned but nodded anyways. You still haven't told me why you need him alive, senpai. Shisui sighed. You are so persistent. Up until now I did not know how to return to my world, but when that boy suddenly appeared my chances improved greatly. Shisui pulled out the vial with Naruto's blood and showed it to the girl. This is Uzumaki blood. If the legends were true from shinobi history, they are related to the Senju who happened to be descendant from Sage of Sixth Paths. The sage had the legendary dojutsu, the Rinnegan. These eyes had unimaginable abilities that allowed you to M through dimensions. I'm still not following you, senpai, she responded with a clueless face. If I fuse this blood with mine, I might be able to manifest the Rinnegan and be able to get myself back to my world. He went to a small refrigerator and pulled out a jar with a green liquid. He showed the jar that held an eyeball with red pupils and a black pattern. With my blood and this science, I was able to create an artificial Sharingan. It is still in its alpha phase, but it is a small step to get back my eyesight. Once they are operational, they might evolve the Rinnegan with his blood fused with mine. Until then, I need him alive to make sure I have enough Uzumaki samples. The Kyubi is a plus. The redhead was amazed at all this information, but only one thing stayed in her head. So you are leaving me? Shisui looked at her before answering, yes, Itsuko. This is not my world. I am grateful you helped me out all this time, but I do not belong here. I still need a lot of help. Don't you want to help me? She nodded and brushed away the tears that were forming in her hazel eyes. Hi, of course, senpai. He nodded before rubbing her hair, a mess, which she giggled. I guess I better go up and open the store, senpai. He nodded before turning to his research. The girl headed upstairs and switched the close sign to open and got behind the register. It was only a matter of time before a blonde along with a bubbly-faced brunette walked in to buy some drinks. They were both sweating from running. Hello, welcome, Itsuko said with her artificial smile. Naruto stretched as he walked out the hospital. By his side was Momo, who looked at him with a concerned face. hoping he wouldn't be leaving the hospital prematurely. Out was the limo waiting for them to take them home. The ride home was quiet as Naruto was deep in thought to what Shisui had just told him. He was dying, slowly but dying. He needed to cut back his chakra consumption. Means no more clones running around the city doing chores. His training would only be taijutsu from now on. QB mode would be off limits unless it was an emergency. Only thing he was not sure about was senjutsu since it drew energy from nature. His thoughts were interrupted by his companion. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Asked the brunette with curious look. The blonde blinked and smiled back to her. Yeah, I am fine. He couldn't let her know about his situation. Before he could get away in his thoughts, she got his attention on again. Do you know what happened to Ida's brother? She spoke. Know what happened to him? He replied, curious to see what happened to the straight-edge student. His brother was attacked by the hero killer. Hero killer. Naruto was surprised about this. Yeah, as his name mentions, he kills heroes in the line of duties. During the festival his brother was attacked and left paralyzed from the waist down. That is horrible. Is Ida okay? Naruto asked with concern. No one has seen him since he left the festival. The news of his attack was all over the media. The hero killer let Ida's brother live so they knew about him. To think that this world has assassins like in mine. Hopefully he is caught and gets what he deserves, Momo. He replied. Oh, something came to you in the mail while you were in the hospital. She said with excitement. She reached for a package that was next to her and handed over to Naruto. He opened the brown box and with it came a DVD disc. Momo pressed a button in the armrest. TV slowly started to appear from the roof. Wow, that is awesome, Naruto exclaimed before putting the disc before on the side of the TV. Within seconds the screen turned to the UA logo and All Might appeared with his trademark smile. Congratulations, young Uzumaki. Your performance in the festival impressed most of the teachers and staff that we have all decided you have met the requirements to be student of UA. It is a great honor for me to inform such news. We are looking forward to seeing you become a hero of justice. The image froze with All Might giving him the thumbs up. Both teens looked excited and the girl immediately hugged the ninja. You are finally a student of UA, Naruto. Congratulations. She beamed at him. How about we celebrate by going out? My treat, of course. She smiled at him. That sounds great. What do you have in mind? He replied to her with his cheeky grin. There is a new movie that just came out that I have been dying to see. Well then let's go to the movies, Momo-chan. It's a date. He laughed, making the girl blush. The evening was filled with people talking in the busy district. The night seems to bring the life out of Hosu. It was filled with teens and young adults hopping from shops to shops. Perhaps its main attraction was the cinema that recently opened that included many of the new technologies available. Outside the building, Naruto, who was dressed in some casual black pants and orange hoodie, walked besides a brunette who chose to wear some tight blue jeans and red s. They were waiting for some of their friends who would be joining them in the movie. To his surprise, he saw Uraraka and Bakugo walking towards them. The bubbly brunette had black leggings with a red plaid skirt and white button shirt. Bakugo had some khaki cargo pants with a blue plaid button shirt. The bubbly girl exit her blonde companion looked like he didn't care. Both girls exchanged greeting and Naruto and Bakugo just nodded at each other before going into the building. The girls went to save them seats since it was a new movie. The boys on the other hands went to buy snacks. The awkward silence between them was driving Naruto crazy. So, you and Uraraka? Yeah, what of it? The red-eyed blonde kept looking ahead. Nothing. It's just I never would have imagined that you two were dating. Who said we were dating? I came here to make it up to her. He retorted as the line was moving forward slowly. What did you do? Naruto asked with a curious face. I didn't do shit. It was Deku, dumbass. His voice was causing others to turn to see them. Naruto had a comically face trying to get him to calm down. Anyways, what is with you and Yaoyorozu? He asked, bored out of his mind. Nothing, why do you say that? Naruto replied as he was the next customer. You two are pretty much the talk of the class. It's annoying to hear them talk about that. He still hasn't faced Naruto. Well, I mean, she's helped me out a lot and she is nice. You better step up your game, idiot. Last I heard the half-half. Bastard is interested in her too. Naruto looked at Bakugo before the cashier got their attention. The boys ordered everything the girls asked and some for themselves. Although they struggled to get all items, they managed to walk up the steps to where the girls were at. The movie started shortly after and the lights dimmed down. The plot featured about a family living in a forest. They couldn't make any sounds, if not some creatures would hunt them down based on their noise. To the boys, the movie wasn't scary. To the girls, however, they would often hide behind their dates. During scare scenes, they would shriek with others in the theater, cause both the boys to laugh. Often Ochako would begin to make Bakugo float before he nudged her and he released her power. Momo grabbed Naruto's arm with a tight grip that would make him uncomfortable. There was a scene that was eerily silent. Naruto was really interested in the movie that he did not feel his pocket vibrate. The family in the movie had made a noise that at the deadly creatures. They immediately hid from the monster and were waiting for it to go away. The four teens were leaning from their seats to watch the conclusion. Explosion rocked the movie screen and in came a monster Naruto and Bakugo knew too well. Nomu. Naruto shouted, "What the hell is going?" Bakugo cursed, "The fuck is it doing here? All Might sent it flying the last time." The screaming and shouts got their attention. They saw civilians hurt and running like crazy. Momo and Uraraka-san, "Help the civilians get out of here, Bakugo and I will handle Nomu." The two girls nodded and sped off helping the civilians. Naruto was about to turn into Kyuubi mode before Kurama reminded him of the consequences. He opted to use clones instead. Before Naruto could react, Bakugo lunged to the artificial villain at full speed, propelling himself with his hands. He blasted the monster on the side of the head before being sent back flying with a punch. Following the monster's attack, Naruto quickly raced to it with a Rasengan in his hand to send it flying back in the streets. "Bakugo-kun," Uraraka shouted, gaining the attention of both blondes, "I think Deku is in trouble. I got a message from him with an address but nothing else." She threw phone to him and he caught it and read the location. An alley at the 2nd of April 10 Echo Street. He read to Naruto, "That isn't that far from here." After Bakugo put the direction in the phone's GPS, he tossed it to Naruto, "Go see what it is. This Nomu isn't as strong as the one All Might faced. They might just be replic, not the original one. This bastard is gonna pay." Naruto nodded before jumping out the hole in the theater and sprinted to the direction the phone was pointing him to. In the background he heard Bakugo infamous war C, die, followed by massive explosives. Naruto knew the moody blonde would be alright. Naruto nodded. There was several fires and smokes throughout the city. It was a massive attack. Most of the heroes must be busy picking these guys off. He was almost to the location where he could hear shouts of agony. He picked up his pace and as he did the final turn, his blue eyes met those of blood red. Those red killer eyes looked right back to Naruto's blue eyes. He had a face of annoyance and no regrets. The blonde noticed Iida and Hiro wasn't familiar with both on his eyes, then turned to see Midoriya and Todoroki facing off the villain and both having bloody injuries. Those same blue eyes then turned back to see the red ones again. "Another one?" spoke the villain with hoarse voice filled with malevolence. He dodged a kick from Midoriya before throwing a kunai to Todoroki, who blocked it with an ice W. He landed a couple of yards back. Before turning to see Naruto again, "But you are different. I can feel it." Naruto dashed into the fight, dodging any knives Stain threw at him. As soon as he got to punching distance, Stain drew a short blade and swung it upwards, forcing Naruto-kun. "Don't let him stab you. If he digests your blood you'll be unable to move," the raven-haired teen shouted from behind him. "I see." Naruto understood and drew his kunai from a pouch. The leer look the villain gave him resembled that of Gaara's when he was younger. "You are the hero killer Stain, correct?" Naruto asked as he analyzed the situation. The narrow alleyway gave little room to move around and work to the villain's quirk. "Why are you different than these fakes?" Stain asked, never taking his eyes off Naruto. He threw another blade to Midoriya, who jumped against the wall to dodge the sharp object. "Why are you defending these worthless fakes, so-called heroes who do nothing but take advantage of the people in need?" He continued with his monologue, stepping forward. "The ninja. The modern-day heroes do nothing but take from the poor in the form of money and fame. They don't do it of the good of their hearts. There is only one true All Might." Stain lunged forwards at full speed with his katana ready to deliver a fatal blow to the blonde. Naruto's immediate reflex was able to dodge it before aiming his kunai at Santa Heart. The villain noticed where his attack was aimed for and punched Naruto's attack away before an ice wall came between them. Todoroki looked at Stain, who jumped on top of an 8th unit. He used his left side to send a fire blast towards the villain, who jumped to the floor and aimed at Deku, who had begun closing the distance in between them, causing the green-haired teen to jump back before he was stabbed once again. The four were at a stalemate, with Stain in the middle of the three. He looked at all the teens and contemplated who to attack. Making his decision, he threw two more blah from his arsenal at Naruto and Todoroki, forcing them to block, and at full speed went after the one-for-all user. Deku charged his legs and jumped to the wall to get some distance, only to have Stain follow his every move. His quick attack managed to hit one of Deku's arm and draw blood, but before he could ingest the bodily fluid, Naruto threw his kunai at the villain's hand with deadly accuracy, puncturing his palm. The villain looked at his hand and stared at the blonde once again. You really are different, aren't you? First you aimed at my heart for an immediately kill, and instead of separating me by shooting the kunai in the space in front of me, you threw it at me directly. You are not a fake. You are just like me. He drew the kunai from his hand to his arsenal before smiling at the bloodied Midoriya. The left arm of the green suit began turning darker where the cut was. You are not interested in money or fame. He don't go for kills because it will tarnish their reputation. Their image will look bad, thus corporations and businesses will not hire them. You are only interested in justice and friends, even though they are fakes. That is a true hero. However, since you are defending these fakes, you must die for encouraging their lifestyles. He dashed towards Naruto, throwing two blades at him only for the blonde to block them. Naruto looked at Stain directly and let him attack him. Before the villain's knife could touch him, he pushed it aside and aimed his kunai at Stain's neck. Sensing the danger to come, the hero killer jumped back and looked at the blonde in front of him. You are right. I am different. I was trained to kill or be killed. I am not interested in money nor fame, just acknowledgement from my precious people. I have been in a war and I have seen my friends be killed in front of me. But I swore on my master's death that I would protect all my friends. I see. Stain studied him once again before drawing two blades in each hand. He turned and with an incredible speed threw one to Todoroki, who easily blocked it with his. However, the ice blocked fire and ice user's vision and did not see the second blade being thrown to Iida on the floor. Naruto cursed and noticed Deku was too far away to move the blue-haired teen from danger and threw himself in front of the blade, puncturing his stomach. Naruto's grunt pain made some of his blood come out of his mouth. Please, stop. This doesn't involve you guys. This is between me and Stain. I have to avenge my brother. The four in the front looked at Iida with tears in his eyes. Nobo has to get hurt. He tried to move, but the hero killer's quirk prevented that from happening. The teens looked back at the villain, whose frown had not changed at all. His time was getting, however, surely the police would come to this location. He had to end it now, or at least his target. Iida. Naruto started as he gripped the blade in his stomach. Do not let hatred blind you. The hatred you have because of him is making you do stupid things. Naruto pulled out the blade and threw it to the floor before staring back at the raven-haired who was on the floor. An image of how he was facing pain came to his mind. Be continued. I know he paralyzed your brother, but he is still alive. Killing Stain would only cause you harm and start a cycle of hatred. I know. I almost went through the Saw thing. I lost my master and my sensei to a ninja seeking revenge on what my village did to his own. I was blindly attacking him because of my hatred towards him that I lost control of who I was. His words snapped me back to reality. Justice comes from vengeance, but that justice only breeds more vengeance. I'm pretty sure they're copycats of Stain who would not hesitate to kill you to avenge him, and then one of our friends would do the same, thus creating a never-ending cycle of hatred. Iida looked down in shame at the words Naruto said. It is hard to acknowledge that truth, Naruto-kun. Still, I cannot allow my friends to get hurt anymore because of my mistakes. If you want us to stop, then stand up. Todoroki shouted at the injured teen. Injinum would never let his friend get hurt. So stand up and fight. Iida's eyes popped open and knew he was right. He could feel Stain's quirk grow weaker and his fingers began to move. Naruto. The voice inside his mindscape roared. Use your chakra. If I feel that you are using too much, I'll knock you out myself. You have to finish this fast. Naruto's mind came back to the battle to see Midoriya and Todoroki struggling to keep the villain back. Izuku was trying to keep the battle away from the fire and ice while the latter tried keep the fight close to Midoriya. Out of nowhere he heard an engine rev up and saw Iida propel himself to the fight, Recipro burst. His high-speed attack caused the hero killer to freeze in midair and get kicked on the side while Deku landed a punch on the opposite side of his face. This caused Stain to the air before Todoroki created an ice pillar to hit the villain in the back, bending him at awkward angle. Naruto blinked at the three teens. They finished off the villain without him. He saw how Stain was before he went and checked on him. He's out cold. I don't think he is getting up anytime soon, the blonde spoke as he applied pressure to his stomach wound. Naruto-san. Iida went up to him, is it serious? The ninja just grinned and shook his head, I'm alright, I have had worse happen to me in the past, as he recalled Sasuke's Chidori piercing his body, we need to tie H before he does wake up. In Q police sirens could be heard getting closer with many heroes by their side. An elderly man zipped with incredible speed to the scene. Grand Torin. Midoriya couldn't finish his sentence because a yellow boot had struck his face, I told you to wait in the train. The small old man looked at the four to see them very injured and then saw Stain. More heroes began getting close with the police and attended the teens. To the surprise everyone, Naruto's injury was already healed. He just brushed it off as a natural ability. Shoto. The flaming hero known as Endeavor shouted from behind. He saw his son and the other teens first before noticing the villain behind them, is that the hero kill Stain? Yeah, Midoriya here sent me the location without any details and I came here to find Iida and him fighting Stain. I see. The red-haired man studied the scene and concluded that they were able to stop the villain. A terrible screech was heard behind them. All of them turned to see one of the new Nomus flying towards them with incredible speed. In an instant, he captured Deku with Hai and began to gain air. Deku noticed the Nomu was bleeding from an eye and was spilling it everywhere, including on one of the hero's face. Naruto saw the thing and couldn't do anything about it without hurting Deku. All his jutsu were either close ranger or very lethal long-range attacks that could kill the young he cursed, but then out of the corner of his eye, he saw in detail what would happen in matter of seconds. Stain tore his restraints apart, he licked the blood of the hero's face activating his quirk and bringing Nomu down, before he sped towards its location and stabbing it in its exposed brain. Fakes should be killed off, were his words before releasing a terrible killer intent, paralyzing everyone around with the exception of Naruto who was used to it already. Ha! You call the killer intent? Kurama laughed before he began seeping his own as Naruto stared down the villain in the eye with blood-red ones. As soon as it came, intent was gone and fell, you really are different. Everyone looked at Naruto before turning back to the fallen villain. Endeavor studied Naruto greatly before brushing it off and went to get Stain. Off in a distance, Shigaraki was on top of building observing the arrest of Stain. He was scratching his neck as usual before someone appeared behind him. I'm guessing your plans failed once again, Tamura, but do not worry, use this as experience and prepare for your next move. Father, he is everywhere. He is always getting in my way, the teen complained to the well-dressed figure in the background. He is going to be your rival, just as All Might was mine. There will be many battles that will be lost, but it is setting up to the grand finale where you would claim victory. However, that blonde kid, keep an eye on him. He is going to be an even greater threat if he continues in this world. In this world? What do you mean, father? He asked, surprise. Let's just say a little raven told me he is from a different dimension. We do have an ally that is going to take care of him. We just have to wait. With that, the man behind the leader of the League of Villain disappeared. The teen looked at Naruto and Deku as both were smiling, I'll see you two soon. The news soon spread out that the hero killer was defeated by Endeavor, a cover-up to protect the teens from any future attacks of Stain's followers as Naruto predicted. 4 teens were reprimanded by the pros before congratulating them after their wounds were healed. As soon as Momo found out what Naruto faced, she smacked him in the head and then hugged him, something Naruto found to be funny. Why are you laughing? I don't see anything funny about being stabbed in the stomach. You see, I think my bashfulness is beginning to rub off on you. You just hit me in the head, something you wouldn't do before. He chuckled, making the girl blush because knew he was right. I'm sorry for making you worry, Momo-chan, I just have to protect my friend's Dadbao. He grinned, getting warm smile back from the girl. The 4 teens who had defeated Stain were inside a police station being questioned by the authorities. All of them had been healed before coming to the building where were immediately thrown into an office that was soundproof. Before anyone said anything, the policeman began to speak to them. It was awfully reckless what you 4 did today, especially you Tenya-san. Personal grudges can blur lines between a hero and a villain. The teen with glass nodded in shame. However, it is truly amazing that you all were able to take down the notorious hero killer. UA really does produce amazing heroes. Truly remarkable how you 4 were able to analyze and detect where he was going to strike without any forensics to back you up. I commend you for that. However, due to safety reasons we cannot give you the credit for defeating Stain. I'm assuming for copycat killer's officer. Naruto asked and got a nod in response. Correct. Stain had a cult following underground. To them Stain was a god and his ideology their religion. If word found out that 4 teens were able to defeat Stain, you a one close to you would be in grave danger. The 4 teens nodded and Deku spoke, so who is receiving the credit then? Endeavor. It would be more believable that the number 2 hero could defeat Stain without anyone challenging him. He was also the closest one to the crime scene and H agency was also the ones who took care of the Nomus. Todoroki only looked down at the mention of his father. He wasn't upset or disappointed, for once he was okay with him taking the credit as it did protect his friends and classmates such as the 3 next to him. Anyways, it's time for you lot to go home. Do me a favor and stay out of trouble, okay? The villains are getting much dangerous and that last we need is future heroes to be when they are not supposed to be there in the first place. The 4 teens nodded before leaving the stations. An awkward silence was among them before Iida broke the silence. I am sorry for my recklessness. You guys got hurt, dumb vengeance. Don't worry about Iida, that's what friends are for, Deku said before Naruto continued. Yeah, I know how you've felt before, but trust me, you do not want to go down the road of vengeance, it can totally change you in a way you may not like. I knew a guy who that in my world. Just don't pick fights you are not ready to fight, Iida. We got lucky all of yous were able to defeat Stain. Todoroki finished the conversation before leaving towards his home. Naruto was relaxing in his room. So much has happened since he arrived here. He joined a school, he has become a hero in the making, he almost died and passed out on find out he is dying slowly from a ninja that was where he came from. To top it all, he still had no idea how to get back. A knock on the door got his attention. Naruto-kun. The door opened to show Momo in her pajamas. What's up, Momo-chan? Naruto smiled at her. How are you doing? She walked in sitting on his bed. I'm fine, just a bit tired from all the things happening around me, he chuckled. I bet after taking down the hero killer you must have been exhausted. Then police gathered you all up and you spent the night with them. Yeah, I can finally rest in bed. Naruto threw his head back on his pillow, gaining an amused face from the brunette in front of him. I'm sorry for making you worry, Momo. She shook her head. It's okay. If it hadn't been for you showing up at that moment, who know what could have happened to our friends. Believe me, I think they could have handled Stain by themselves. He smiled back at her. She smiled at him before remembering where Stain stabbed him. How's your wound? She asked, concerned at her housemate. It's all healed up. Like it was never there. Naruto lifted his shirt to where he was stabbed and to Momo's surprise there was no scar. I am still amazed how you heal up quickly, it's almost as if you have a healing quirk. It's all thanks to the demon inside of you, correct? She said. Naruto smiled. Yeah, it's all thanks to him I'm still alive. Does it have a name? The girl asked the blonde, who only gave her a cheeky smile. The furball's name is Kurama. Kurama, I guess I have to thank him for taking care of you and you dumb stunts. She grinned, causing the fox inside to roar in laughter. Do you know why your dad see inside of you? Naruto's face softened with a smile. Let me tell you the story of when I was born. Momo's interests perked up as she listened closely to the blonde's origin. My mom was the original Jinchuriki of Kurama. She was an outsider who arrived at my village as refugee. Being from the Uzumaki clan, the leaf benefited from the immigration since Uzumakis were known for the sealing expertise. The first Hokage's wife passed down K to my mother. She shared the burden of being a Jinchuriki, an outsider, so kids often teased her about it. Momo gasped before Naruto laughed. However, my mom was never one to take crap from anyone. She would often beat those kids who teased her that they labeled her T-Red Hot Habanero due to her hair being fiery red. This made Momo smile as she could see where Naruto got his habits, so you got that from your mom, right? Naruto smiled back at her and nodded, yeah, I got most of my mom's habit including my love for ramen. So how did your mom meet your dad? They had the same class together, sort of like we do. Naruto grinned and while Momo blushed. He used to stare at my mom from afar but she often brushed him off as being too girly. He often would follow my mom and whenever she got in a fight he was there. Seemed like your dad was a little stalker, Momo smiled at him. Yeah, but if it wasn't for that I wouldn't be here. One night, 3 ninjas from another village kidnapped my mom since she carried Kurama. As they made her walk she be leaving strands of her red hair that always got her into trouble. When they were nearing the border, my mom had all but lost hope. She had accepted her fate and continued walking until she was met with blue eyes. Your dad, she said with an amazed voice. Yeah, I am a spitting image from my dad. My father took down those 3 high-ranked ninja while still being a genin. In his hand were the strands of red hair my mom h behind and in his words, your hair is so beautiful that I noticed it right away. Ever since then my mom saw him a great ninja and eventually married him. That is so beautiful Naruto-kun, she said with teary look. Yeah it is. Fast forward some years and my father was made the Yondaime Hokage and my mom became pregnant with me. Since the seal of the tailed beast become we during childbirth, my mother was transported into a secret place only a handful of people knew about it. However, someone was able to sneak and caused a havoc. Right, my mom had given birth to me, a man in a mask kidnapped my mom and extracted Kurama. Normally Jinchurikis die when their tailed beast are extracted. Momo gasped at this as she continued to listen to Naruto's origin. But the Uzumakis also have a life longevity and she was able to live a bit longer. Thankfully my dad was able to get her back with a jutsu that teleported him to her. How the man released a mind-controlled Kurama to the village who began to destroy everything in its path. After defeating the masked man, my dad knew there was only one way to subdue Kurama. He went and picked my mom and I from our house and got us near Kurama. After some arguments between them, it was settled that I would be the new Jinchuriki because my father wanted me to control the power of Kurama when the world was in danger once again. The sealing technique my father used was a double-edged sword since it required him to be sacrificed as well, the Reaper Death Seal. So both of your parents. Momo was letting loose tears now. My dad was a genius and he knew the consequences of a village being with their strongest weapon. He also did not want to burden anyone else with this. He sealed some chakra inside of me in case I needed help in the future from him, but he also knew that he wasn't going to be enough. I needed a mother's love. With his final strength he s some of my mom's chakra in me as well to help me control Kurama in the future. It was because of that act of selfishness that I was able to meet my mom. Naruto now had tears as well. When I met my mom in my mindscape, she explained all this to me and showed me how that night went. Both of them made me who I am though I had never met them alive. It is because of them I become really strong. As Naruto finished she received a bone-crushing hug from his housemate. It never ceases to amaze me how you've become such a wonderful person Naruto-kun. I am Su parents were amazing people and they must be really proud of the person you have become. I met my dad once more before I arrived here. He was brought back to life with an illegal jutsu by a madman. I was able to let him know how I was living the life my Mo always wanted. Momo gave him a soft smile before she began creating 2 necklaces. I got an idea from your dad. He was able to teleport by a seal, am I right? Naruto nodded as he stared at the gift she made for him. Although this doesn't give us that benefit, it will allow us to find each other wherever we are. It is a tracking device and if anything ever happens to us, we'll know where other is at. Here, let me put it on you. As she went behind to unhook the one Tsunade gave him, she noticed a small tattoo. What is this tattoo Naruto-kun? Tattoo. I have never gotten a tattoo. Momo grabbed her phone and took a picture of it and showed it to Naruto. He instantly knew what it was. He tried to play it off as cool as possible. That is part of the seal my dad made. He quickly put the necklace on and faced Momo. I see. She eyed the seal but brushed it off. Anyways, it's time for bed. Tomorrow begins the last week before final exams. Naruto tensed at this. Final exams. After Momo had closed door, Naruto's surprise face changed. He closed his eyes and entered his mindscape to speak Kurama. Is it a seal? Naruto asked the giant fox. Yes, it is. It is truly amazing how I was not able to pick up on it, but there is only one person who has been close to you that could do this, the giant fox replied, Shisui. Correct. I'm assuming it has something to with you, losing your chakra. I'll try and see what I can do about it, but in the meantime, get some rest. We'll have the bastard's home address, we'll pay him a visit about this later. Yeah, I need to get to the bottom of this, and he is the only one with answers. Kurama Nine-Tails swung behind him as he got close to the blonde. Kid, why did you tell her about me and your parents? Kurama asked, looking curiously at the blonde. He smiled. I deem her trustworthy and I highly doubt she'll do anything to hurt us. I see. There is one thing I do agree with Shisui, be careful with attachments. We do not belong here. Classes resumed the following day and the usual rowdy halls were quieter this time of year. Everyone was studying for their final exams. The students who hadn't studied whole year were now in the library trying to cram a semester's worth of information. Naruto wasn't the exception. After talking to Aizawa to see if he was going to be exempt from taking the test, Naruto was told that he wasn't receiving any favors from any of the teachers. Right now he had two clones in the library reading anything they could get a hand to while the real one was eating with his classmates. With one hand he had a fork and in other had a book. He was sitting with Iida, Deku, Ochako and Momo but wasn't really paying attention to their conversations. Naruto-kun, you must take a break once in a while, Momo told him. She had helped earlier select books that could help him catch with the rest of the class. In fact, most class needed help and she decided to start a study group. I know, but there is a lot of stuff from this world that I don't know. Besides, maintaining a study plan will help me back when I want to become Hokage. He grinned back, turning back to the rest of the table. They all had smiled back to him and resumed eating before he turned to see Uraraka staring into a distance. He turned to see into the direction she was looking at and was met with another blonde who was being annoyed by Kirishima and Mina. Before he could ask her about it, the rang for them to go back to class. Oh well, a question for later. After several days of cramming much information, the test began in each classroom was eerily silent. If someone were to drop a pin, it would echo throughout the SCH. Naruto stared at the paper in front of him and knew he was ready. The study sessions with Momo's group and his clones made it a lot easier. He wasn't expecting a high GR, but he was sure he was going to pass the written portion. The practical exam is what he was worried about. There was not much going on it besides rumors of going again robots, but it seemed almost too easy. His mind shifted back to the exam and began answering each question carefully, and for the next 3 days that's how it went, draining everyone from their mental juice. When the time came for the practical exams, everyone was ready to blow some steam off. The class met in front of their training area and were met with their teachers. Hello students, Principal Nezu began. This year's practical exam would be different from the previous ones. The students who were looking for an easy grade stopped their tracks as they heard what the principal had said. Due to certain events that has happened to UA students, we have decided it is best to prepare you for actual comm instead of simulated robots. The class was stunned as they heard this. But does that mean we are fighting each other? Asked Mina. No, putting you against one another doesn't give you an actual combat experience since most of you will hesitate to hurt your friends. Instead, you'll be facing as teacher 2 versus 1 match. Of course we will be wearing these high-density weights that will limit our movements and level the playing field. The piece of the tech was shown to be nothing but cuffs. The only way to pass the exam is to either handcuff the teacher or escape. Sometime when you know you can't win a fight, you must run to call for backup. Aizawa explained this to the class. These are the teams and who they are facing against. I'll be facing Yaoyorozu and Todoroki. Midoriya and Bakugo will be facing All Might. As in cue, his smiling giant figure landing in front of the two boys, choking them. Mineta and Siro will be facing Midnight, followed by Jiro and Koda against Present Mike. After their fight is Asui and Tokiyami against Ectoplasm. The next match is the only that'll have a team of 3 due to the odd numbers students in the class. Aoyama, Mina, and Kaminari will be facing our principal Nezu. Shoji and Toru will be going against Snipe. Iida and Ojiro will battle Loader, and the last match will be Naruto and the teams begin to look at each other. Naruto looked at Momo and smiled at her before going to meet Uraraka, who was visibly shaking. She was going against her favorite after all. Change into your costumes and you have 15 minutes to prep. After that, go into your assigned locations and wait for your exams. Aizawa said before the teacher turned leaving behind the students. In the locker room, Naruto looked at his briefcase. When he got accepted into the course, they asked him if had any ideas for costumes. Being from the ninja world, he went through his options quickly and gave his choice, Anbu. He looked in the mirror and was met with the same attire the Anbu used. His mask was the only thing that was D for each member of the Anbu force. He placed it on and stared at the fox mask in the mirror. When he met Uraraka in front of the door to their exam, Naruto had his mask sideways so he could talk to her directly. Hey Uraraka-chan, are you okay? The brunette turned and blushed. Oh sorry, I was lost in my own thoughts. I was just thinking what would be the best way to defeat 13. Right. What quirk does he have anyways? The blonde looked at the girl. In his finger, there is a black hole that can suck anything in. It is very dangerous because once you're in there is no out. That is pretty dangerous, but it also give us an advantage. The blonde replied, confusing the girl. What do you mean? Asked the bubbly girl. I'll show you when the time is right. He grinned. There is something I've been wanting to ask you. What is it, Naruto-kun? She wondered as she stared at the blonde next to her. You have been distracted lately. Are you alright? She looked confused. I'm fine, why do you ask that? Well, last week I saw you staring at Bakugo, and what is going on between you two? The girl blushed madly. Has it been that noticeable? Well, yeah. I mean, when I first got here, it seems you and Deku were together or something. Lately, I get the feeling that something happened between you two and you getting closer to Bakugo. Ochako looked at the ground before she began talking. Nothing happened between me and Deku, at least nothing serious. It was more about me. During the festival, we preparing myself mentally to fight Bakugo, he came into the locker room and gave me his notebook. The one he has data on all the heroes, right? The blonde answered. Yeah, that one. He said it contained all the notes he had on Bakugo and to use them. That's when I realized he didn't have faith in me. I didn't blame him though. I was go against the #1 student in our class. Still it hurt. I see. I understand you completely. When someone doesn't acknowledge your strength or your hard work and still baby you around. My grandma used to that to me back world. His face softened as he thought about Tsunade. However, the girl continued, when I fought Bakugo, he acknowledged me. Perhaps he didn't say it, but I could feel it. There was a reason he kept pushing me back, and H knew that once I laid a hand on him, I would have won. He never once relaxed and he motivated me to keep trying until my body no longer could. Deku was my driving foe until that point, but the gap between my power and Bakugo made me realize I needed to do serious training. I asked him to train me and he accepted it. He told me things straight up and said I lacked in combat. That's why I went to Gunhead on my internship to learn hand-to-hand combat. Well, Uraraka, as long as Bakugo doesn't hurt you, I'm fine with that. Although you really don't need my permission, Naruto chuckled, causing the girl to laugh as well. The door opening behind them brought them back to Earth. Their final exam was about to start. The two entered what appeared to be a replica of USJ. Being 13's area of expertise, it gave him an advantage over the teens. They began exploring and noticed that everything was too quiet. You know, since 13's quirk allows him to pretty much protect any exit point, he might just be guarding it. Uraraka explained to the ninja. Naruto already had his fox mask, was studying every piece of information that came before him. You're right. His quirk is pretty much like an ultimate defense. 13 can just stand by the exit the whole exam and we would never be able to pass him. I doubt we would be to handcuff him too. According to the layout, the exit should be close by. Uraraka pointed out. Both teens began getting closer to their destination that lay on top of some stairs, and just as Ochako said, 13 was waiting for them in the exit. So you were able to analyze the situation and deducted that I was guarding the exit. Well done, however that is not how you pass the exam. The pro hero raised his hand on his index finger, a cap pop off, black hole. Immediately the air around the teens began getting sucked in the direction of the astronaut. Thinking immediately, Naruto grabbed the railing that the stairs provided. Ura was able to grab Naruto's hand and pulled herself up to the rail as well. How long can you last, Uraraka-chan? Naruto asked with a serious face. Last what? Holding for my life. Probably 5 minutes, a bit more if I make myself lighter. She answered while her hair was getting in the way. Okay. Let's wait for 5 minutes before I do something crazy. This is a test and 13's quirk is a dangerous one. He can't kill one of us or the school would be in big trouble. Blonde explained to the brunette who noticed where he was getting at. So we wait 5 minutes and let go. His reaction should be to stop and protect us. If we let go too soon he might catch on to something fishy and try to do something else. Exactly. I'll do my best acting and pretend to be surprised. That is when you'll sneak around him and go for the arrest. Got it. She smiled and did her best to maintain her grip on the railing. Behind them 13 began taunting, I can go on forever. My quirk does not affect my stamina directly. Might as well give up, kids. The 5 minutes were agonizing for the teens whose arms felt like they could snap any minute. Naruto looked at Uraraka and nodded before he released his grip. Crap. Naruto yelled and flailed his arms around. 13's was shocked and immediately closed his finger as Naruto got closer. That's when he noticed Naruto's smirk. The blonde tackled down the astronaut. He was able to grab arm but the other one remained loose. Just as 13 was about to use his black hole again, Uraraka snapped on the cuffs on him. Ochako Uraraka and Uzumaki Naruto, pass. The announcement was made as both teens high-fived each other.